play is called Our Town. It's written by Thornton and it's been produced by the Yackandandah Theatre Company. The name of the town is Grover's Corners, New Hampshire, just across the Massachusetts line. The latitude is 42 degrees 40 minutes, longitude 70 degrees 37 minutes. The first act shows a day in the life of our town. Today, May 7th, 1901. The time, just before dawn. The sky is beginning to show some streaks of light up there beyond our mountain. The morning star always shines wonderfully bright the minute before it has to go, doesn't it? Well, I better show you how our town lies. Along here is Main Street. Railway stations back that way. Tracks go that way. Polish towns across the tracks and some Canuck families. Across here is the Congregational Church. Presbyterian Church is across the street. Methodist and Unitarian are further down. The Baptist Church is down in the hollow by the river. Catholic Church is over beyond the tracks. Right here is the town hall and post office combined. Jail's in the basement. William Jennings Bryan once made a speech from these very steps right here. Along here's a row of stores. Horse blocks and hitching posts out the front. First cars are going to come along for about 5 years. That belonged to banker Cartwright. He's our richest citizen, lives in the big White House up there on the hill. This is our grocery store. This is Mr. Morgan's drugstore. Most everybody in town manages to look into these two stores at least once a day. Public school's over yonder, high school's over further still. 8:45 in the morning, noon times, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the whole town can hear the yelling and screaming from those schoolyards. This is our doctor's house, Doc Gibbs. This is the back door. Here's some scenery for those of you who feel you need scenery. This is Mrs. Gibbs's garden. Corn, peas, beans, hollyhock, heliotrope, and a lot of burdock. In those days, our newspapers came out twice a week. The Grover's Corners Sentinel. This is Editor Webb's house. This is Mrs. Webb's garden. Corn, peas, beans. Oh, quite like Mrs. Gibbs's garden, only it's got some sunflowers as well. And over here is a big butternut tree. Nice town. You know what I mean? No one very remarkable ever came out of it, so far as we know. Earliest tombstones up on the mountain in the cemetery there read 1670, 1680. And they're Grovers and Gibbses and Percys and Cartwrights. Same names you see around here now. Well, as I said, it's about dawn. Only lights on in a cottage over by the tracks there where a Polish mother just gave birth to twins. And at the Joe Crowell house where Joe Jr. is getting up so as to deliver the paper. And at the depot where Shorty Hawkins, he'd be getting ready to flag the 545 to Boston. Right on time. Naturally, out of the country all around, the lights have been on for some time, what with the Milkins and so on. But these town folks sleep late. So, another day's begun. There's Doc Gibbs. He's coming down Main Street now, coming back from that baby case. And here comes Mrs. Gibbs. She's coming downstairs to get her breakfast. Doc Gibbs, he died in 1930. The new hospital was named after him. Mrs. Gibbs died first. A long time ago, in fact. She went to visit her daughter Rebecca, who married an insurance salesman in Canton, Ohio, and she died there. Pneumonia. But they brought her body back, and now she's buried up there with the whole mess of Gibbses and Herseys. She was Julia Hersey before she married Doc Gibbs in the Congregational Church right over there. In our town, we like to know the facts about everybody. Well, here comes Mrs. Webb. She's coming downstairs to get her breakfast too. There's Doc Gibbs, got that call at 1:30 this morning. And here comes Joe Proud, delivering Mr. Webb's sentence.
Morning, Doc Gibbs.
Morning, Joe.
Someone been sick, Doc?
No. Pair of twins over in Polish Town.
Do you want your paper now, sir?
Oh, yeah. So you can think. Anything important happened since last Wednesday?
Oh, yes, sir. My school teacher, Miss Foster, is getting married to a fellow over in Concord.
I declare. What do you fellas think about that?
Well, of course, it's none of my business. But in my opinion, if someone starts out to be a teacher, she ought to stay one.
How's your knee, Joe?
Oh, fine, Doc. I never think about it at all. Just like you said, it's always going to tell me when it's about to rain.
What's it telling you today? Is it going to rain?
No, sir.
You sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Your knee never been wrong.
No, sir.
I want to tell you something about this boy, Joe Proud. Joe was all too bright. He went to high school here and graduated head of his class. Got a scholarship to Massachusetts Tech. Graduated head of his class there, too. It was all going up in the Boston Babes at the time. Joe was going to be a great engineer. But then the war came and he died in France. All that education for nothing.
You dead, Bessie? What's the matter with you today?
Here comes Howie Newsom delivering the milk.
Morning, Doc.
Good morning, Howie.
Somebody sick?
No. Pair of twins over to Mrs. Yaroslavsky.
Twins, eh? This town's getting bigger every year.
Think it's going to rain, Howie?
No, it'll burn through. Come on, Bessie.
Hello, Bessie. How old is she now, Howie?
Oh, Bessie, she's going on 17. She keeps getting all mixed up about delivering a quart of milk to the lockouts. Keeps wanting to deliver it every day. Keeps scolding me the whole trip.
Oh, good morning, Howie.
Morning, Mrs. Gibbs. Doc's just coming down the street now.
Oh, is he? It seems like you're a little late today.
Yeah, something went wrong with the separator. Don't know what it was.
Howie.
Children, time to get up.
Come on, Bessie!
Rebecca. Everything all right, Frank?
Oh, I declare they were easy as kittens.
Well, bacon will be ready in a minute. Sit down and drink your coffee. You can catch a couple of hours sleep this morning, can't you?
Well, Mrs. Wentworth's due at about 11. I guess I know what that's about. Her stomach ain't what it ought to be.
Oh, told you won't get more than 3 hours sleep. Frank Gibbs, I don't know what's going to become of you. I'm worried about you. I do wish I could get you to go away and take a real rest. I think it'd do you good. Emily, time to get up. Wally, 7 o'clock. Now, I declare you just got to speak to George. Something's come over him lately. He's no use to me at all. I can't even get him to chop me some wood.
Is he sassy to you?
Well, no. He just sort of whines all the time. And all he thinks about is that baseball. George! Rebecca, you'll be late for school! George!
George, look sharp.
Yes, Pop.
Can't you hear your mother calling you? I think I might go and take that 40 winks.
Wally! Emily! You'll be late for school! Wally, you wash yourself good, or I'll come up and do it myself.
Ma, what dress shall I wear? Ma, I hate that dress.
Oh, hush up with you.
Every day I go to school dressed like a sick turkey.
Now, Rebecca, you always look very nice.
Oh, Mama, George is throwing soap at me.
Now I'll come up there and I'll slap the both of you. That's what I'll do.
We got a factory in our town too. It makes blankets. Can you hear it? The carbines on it. It's brought them a fortune.
Oh, children, I won't have it. Won't have you gobbling like wolves. It's time to grow and that's a fact. Put your book away, Wally.
Oh, but Ma, by 10 o'clock I gotta know about Canada.
You know the rules as well as I do. No books or table. As for me, I'd rather have my children healthy than bright.
I'm both, Mama. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age. I have a wonderful memory.
Now eat your breakfast.
I'm smart too when I'm looking at my stamp collection.
Well, I'll speak to Father about it after he's rested. Seems to me 25 cents a week's enough pocket money for a boy your own age. I swear I don't know what you all spend it on.
Mom, I got a lot of things to buy.
That strawberry phosphates, that's what you spend it on.
Well, I don't know how Rebecca comes to have so much money. She has more than $1.
I've been saving it up gradual.
Well, dear, it is nice to spend a little bit of money every so often.
Mama, do you know what I love most in the world? Do you? Money.
Breakfast. There's an I don't want more.
Travis Parker's gonna have me.
All right, walk fast. You don't have to run. Wally's downstairs.
More Rebecca.
Now, Rebecca, you will tell Miss Foster to send her my best congratulations. Now, you won't forget that, will you?
Yes, Mom.
Look real nice, Rebecca. Kick up your feet.
Hurry up.
Goodbye.
Oh, no, not you. Not you. Fuss, fuss, fuss. You're always fighting. Oh. Now, who are you? You don't belong to me. Oh, don't be scared. No one's gonna hurt you. Oh, good morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
Well, I still get that tickling feeling in my throat. Don't y'all, he knows I go to choir practice tonight. Won't be any use.
Well, have you tried singing over your voice?
Well, I tried that. I can't seem to stay on key. So while I'm resting myself, I've thought I'd string these beans for winter.
Oh, beans be good this year.
I've decided to put up 40 calls if it kills me.
Come and let me help you.
The children say they hate her, but I notice they're able to get her down all winter.
Now, Myrtle Webb, I've just got to tell you something, because if I don't tell someone, I'm bound to burst.
Why, Judy Kicks?
Now, Myrtle, did you have one of those second-hand furniture men from Boston drop by you last Friday?
No.
Well, they did me. At first, I thought it was a patient, Dr. Gibbs. He wormed his way into my parlor. And Myrtle Webb, he offered me $350 for Grandma Wentworth's old highboy, as I'm sitting here.
Why, Judy
He
Kicks?
did! That old thing, wow. It was so big I almost gave it to Cousin Hester Wilcox.
Well, you're gonna take it, ain't you?
Oh, well, I don't know.
You don't know? $350. What's gonna move you?
Well, if I could get the doctor to take the money and go away on a real trip, I'd sell it like that. No, Myrtle, it's always been a lifelong dream of mine to visit Paris, France. Oh, I know it sounds crazy, but for years now I've been promising myself that if we ever got the chance.
What did the doctor say about it?
Oh, well, I beat around the bush a little. I said to him that if ever I got a legacy, that's what I called it. that I'd insist that he take me away somewhere real nice.
And how's he feeling?
Oh, well, you know Dr. Gibbs. Why, I haven't had a serious word come out of that man's mouth since I've known him. Oh, no, he said. Might make him discontented with Boo's corner school trips and off around Europe. Better let well enough alone, he said. Every 2 years he makes a trip to the battlefields of the Civil War. That's enough treat for anybody, he says.
Well, Mr. Webb just admires the way Dr. Gibbs knows everything there is to know about the Civil War. Mr. Webb's a good mind to give up Napoleon and move on over to the Civil War. Only Dr. Gibbs, being one of the greatest experts in the country, just makes him despair.
Well, it's a fact. Dr. Gibbs ain't ever so happy as when he's either at Gettysburg or Antietam. The number of times, Mother, that I've walked over all those hills, stopping at every little bush, piecing it all out like I was going to buy it.
Well, Juliet, if that second-hand man's serious about buying it, you sell it. That way you'll get to see Paris friends. Just keep dropping hints from time to time. That's how I got to see the Atlantic Ocean film.
Well, I shouldn't have really mentioned it. Only, seems to me, Myrtle, that before you die, you ought to go to a country where they don't speak the English language, and they don't even want to.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Now we're going to go back to the town. We're going to skip a few hours, but before we do, I'd like a little bit more information about the town, kind of a scientific account, you might say. So I've asked Professor Willard of our State University to sketch in a few details about our history here. Is Professor Willard here? Professor Willard? May I introduce Professor Willard of our State University? A few brief notes. Professor, unfortunately our time is limited.
Oh, yes, sorry. Grover's Corners, let me see. Grover's Corners lies on the old Pleistocene granite of the Appalachian Range. It is some of the oldest land in the world, and we are very proud of that. The shelf of Devonian basalt crosses it with vestiges of Mesozoic shale and sandstone outcroppings. Well, yes, all of that is much more recent, maybe 200, 300 years old. But I might just say that some highly interesting fossils have been found. Some unique fossils just 2 miles out of town in Silas Peckham's cow pasture. And these can be seen at the museum at our university at any time. Well, any reasonable time, that is. Now, shall I recite some of Professor Gruber's notes on the meteorological situation, mean precipitation, etc.?
Afraid we won't have time for that, Professor. Might we have a few words on the history of man?
Oh, anthropological data. Let me see. Early Amerindians stock from the Cotahatchee tribes, for the most part, but no evidence before the 10th century of this era, now entirely disappeared. Although there are possible traces in up to 3 families. Migration towards the end of the 17th century by English brachiocephalic bovine stock, for the most part. Since then, Slav and Mediterranean.
Can you tell us the population, Professor?
Oh, well, within the town limits, it is 2,640.
Oh, just a minute, Professor.
Indeed. Thank you. The population as of this very moment is 2,642. But the postal district brings in 507 more, making a total of 3,149. Now, birth and mortality rates are constant by McPherson's gauge. That makes it 6.03214418197.
Thank you very much, Professor. We're all very much obliged, I'm sure.
Not at all.
Thank you, Professor.
Oh, not at all.
Right this way.
Thank you.
And now for a political and social report. We've asked Editor Webb in of our local paper, the Grover's Corners Sentinel. Is Editor Webb here? Editor Webb?
Oh, he'll be out in a minute. He's just cut his hair and he's an apple.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb. Editor Webb is the publisher and editor of our local newspaper, as I said. He, is a...
Charles, everyone's waiting.
Well, I don't have to tell you that we're run here by a board of selectmen. All males vote at the age of 21. Women vote indirect. We're lower middle class, sprinkling of professional men, 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Republican, 6% Democrat, 4% Socialist, rest indifferent. Religiously, we're 85% Protestant, 12% Catholic, rest indifferent.
Do you have any comment, Mr. Webb?
Well, very ordinary town, if you ask me. A little better behaved than most, probably a lot duller. But our young people here seem to like it well enough. 90% of them settle right down here to live after graduating high school, even if they've been away to college.
Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to ask Andrew Webb a question?
Yes. Is there much drinking in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, I wouldn't know what you'd call much. Saturday nights, the farmhands meet down at Ellery Greenall's stables and holler some. We have one or two town drunks, but they're always having remorses every time an evangelist comes to town. No, ma'am, I'd say liquor don't have a regular place in the home here, except in the medicine chest. Right good for snake bites, you know. Always was.
So, is there no one in town aware of...
Come forward, will you? What are you saying, sir?
Oh, is there no one in town aware of social injustice and industrial inequality?
Well, absolutely, everybody is. Seems like they're always talking about who's rich and who's poor.
Well, why don't they do something about it?
Well, I don't know. I guess we're all hunting like everybody else for a way that the diligent and sensible can rise to the top and the lazy and quarrelsome can sink to the bottom. But it ain't easy to find. Meanwhile, we do what we can to help those who can't help themselves. And those who can, we leave alone. Are there any other questions?
Oh, yes. Mr. Webb, is there any culture or love of beauty in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, there isn't much. Not in the sense you mean. Come to think of it, a few of the girls play piano down at the high school commencement. They ain't happy about it. No, ma'am, there isn't much culture, but this is probably the place to tell you that we have a lot of pleasures of a kind here. We like the sun coming up over the mountain in the morning. We don't notice a good deal about the birds. Don't pay a lot of attention to them. And we see the change of the seasons. Everyone knows that. But those other things, you're right, ma'am. There isn't much culture. There's Robinson Crusoe, the Bible, Handel's Largo. Everyone knows that. Oh, and Whistler's Mother. But that's about as far as we go.
So I thought. Thank you, Mr. Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Now we're going to go back to the town. It's early afternoon. All 2,642 have had their dinners and the dishes have all been washed. There's an early afternoon buzz over the town. Buzzing and a humming from the school buildings, horses dozing at their hitching posts. Not too many buggies on Main Street. We all remember what that was like. Doc Gibbs is in his office, tapping people and making them say, ah. And Editor Webb here is cutting his lawnmower. You know, 1 man in 10 thinks it's a privilege to push his own lawnmower. No, sir, it's later than I thought. Here are the school children coming home from school already.
I can't, Lois. I've got to go home and help my mother. I promised.
Emily, walk simply. Who do you think you are today?
Poppy, you're terrible. 1 minute you tell me to stand up straight, and the next you call me names. I just don't listen to you.
Golly, I never got a kiss from such a great lady before. Awfully sorry, Mrs. Forrest.
You don't go out and play in the fields, young man. You got no business playing baseball on Main Street.
Excuse me, Mrs. Forrest. Hello, Emily.
Hello.
You made a fine speech in class today.
Oh. Well, I was really ready to make a speech about the Monroe Doctrine, but at the last minute, Miss Cochran made me talk about the Louisiana Purchase instead. I worked an awful long time on both of them.
Gee, it's funny, Emily. You know, from my window up there, I can just see the top of your head nuts when you're in your room doing your homework over.
Why can't you?
You certainly do stick to it, Emily. I don't know how you can sit still that long. I guess you like school?
I always feel it's something you have to go through.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, really. It passes the time.
Emily, what do you say we might work out a kind of telegraph, you know, from your window to mine? And every now and again, you can give me a kind of hint or two about one of those algebra problems? I don't mean the answers, Emily. Of course not the answers. Just some little hint.
Well, I think hints are allowed. So, if you get stuck, George, you just whistle to me and I'll give you some hints.
You're just naturally bright, I guess.
I figure it's just the way a person's born.
Yeah, but you see, I want to be a farmer, and my Uncle Luke says that whenever I'm ready, I can come work on his farm, and if I'm any good at it, I can gradually have it.
You mean the house and everything?
Well, I better get out to the baseball field. Thanks for the talk, Emily. Good afternoon, Mrs. Webb.
Oh, good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George.
Oh, Emily, coming down the street with these things for winter. Well, that George Gibbs let himself have a real conversation, didn't he? Why, he's growing up. How old can he be?
I don't know.
Well, let me see. He must be almost 16.
Mama, I made a speech in class today, and I was very good.
Oh, you must recite it to your father and son. What was it about?
The Louisiana Purchase. It was like silk out of school. I'm going to make speeches all my life. Mama, are these big enough?
Try and get them a little bigger if you can.
Mama, will you answer me a question? Serious?
Seriously, dear, not serious.
Seriously? Will you?
Of course I will.
Mama, am I good looking?
Of course you are. All my children have good features. I'd be ashamed if they didn't.
Mom, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, am I pretty?
I already told you, yes. Now that's enough of that. You have a nice, young, pretty face. I never heard such foolishness.
Mama, you never tell us the truth about anything.
I am telling you the truth.
Well, Mama, were you pretty?
Well, yes, I was. I'll say it myself. I was the prettiest girl in town. Next to Jane Cartwright.
But Mom, you gotta say something about me. I mean, am I pretty enough to get anybody, to get people interested in me?
No, Emily, you're making me tired. Now stop it. You're pretty enough for all normal purposes. Come along and bring that ball with you.
Mommy, you don't help at all.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb. Thank you, Emily. That'll do. I'm going to interrupt again here. There's a few more things we want to explore about the town. I think now's a good time to tell you that the Cartwright interests have begun building a bank in Grover's Corners. Had to go to Vermont for the marble, sorry to say. But they asked a friend of mine what they should put in the cornerstone of that block for people to dig up 1,000 years from now. So they're going to put in a copy of the New York Times, a copy of Editor Wake's Sentinel. You see, we're kind of interested because these scientific fellows have found a way of painting all that reading matter with glue, a silicate glue, so that it'll keep 1,000, 2,000 years. So they're putting in a copy of the United States Constitution, a Bible, a copy of William Shakespeare's plays. What do you say, folks? What do you think? Well, I'm going to ask to have a copy of this play put in that cornerstone for people 1,000 years from now so they know a few simple truths about us. More than the Treaty of Versailles and the Lindbergh flight. You know what I mean? So people, 1,000 years from now, this is the way we were in the provinces north of New York at the beginning of the 20th century. This is the way we were in our growing up, in our marrying, in our living, and in our dying. Congregational church, school children at home doing their homework. The day's running down like a tired clock.
Now look here, everybody! Music come into the world to bring pleasure. Softer. Softer. Get it out of your heads! That music is only good when it's loud. You leave loudness to the Methodists. You couldn't beat them even if you wanted to. Now, we'll try that again. Tenors!
Emily, did you get the third problem?
Which?
The third.
Why, yes, George. That's the easiest of them all.
I don't see it. Emily, could you give me a hint?
I'll tell you one thing. The answer is in yards.
In yards? How do you mean?
In square yards.
In square yards?
Yes, George. Don't you see? In square yards of wallpaper.
Oh, in square yards of wallpaper. Okay, thanks, Emily.
You're welcome. My, isn't the moonlight terrible? And with choir practice going on? I think if you hold your breath, you can hear the train all the way to Quantico. You hear it?
What do you know?
Well, I guess I better go back and try to work.
Good night, Emily. Thanks.
Good night, George.
Before I forget, who is available next Tuesday afternoon to sing at Fred Hersey's wedding? Show your hands, please. Ah, that'll be right nice. I guess we'll do the same music as we did last month at Jane Trowbridge's. Now we'll do Art thou weary, art thou languid? It's a question, everybody. Let's make it talk.
Oh, George, can you come down here a minute?
Yes, Pa.
Just make yourself comfortable. This will only take a minute. Now, George, how old are you?
Why, I'm 16, almost 17.
And what is it that you want to do once school is over?
Well, you know, Pa, I'm going to be a farmer on Uncle Luke's farm.
Oh, you'd be willing, would you, to get up early and milk and tend to your stock and hoe and hay all day long?
Well, sure I will. What's this about, Pa?
Now, George, I was in my office this morning and I heard the strangest sound. And what do you think it was? It was the sound of your mother chopping wood. Your mother, who gets up early and cooks and cleans all day long, and there she was in the yard chopping wood. Now, I think she probably has got so sick of asking you to do that for her, she thought she might just as well do it herself. Your mother dresses you in clean clothes and feeds you so well, and you just rush off to play baseball like she's some hired girl that we just keep around the house that we don't like very much. Well, I felt sure you'd understand if I drew it to your attention, George. Here's a handkerchief. Now, George, I've decided to raise your spending money by 25 cents a week. Not because you chop wood for your mother, because that would be a gift that you give to her. Because, well, you're getting older and there'll be things that you need to do.
Thanks, Mom.
Now, let's see. Tomorrow is your payday. Yep, it'll be there. It'll be there for you. I imagine Rebecca will expect an increase in her allowance as well. Where's your mother? The choir practice isn't usually as late as this.
It's only 8:30, Pa.
Oh, I don't know what she's even doing in that old choir. She ain't got the voice of an old crow. Traipsing around all night with those old hens. I think it's time for you to retire, George.
Yes, Pa.
I'll tell Mr. Webb that. He's gonna want to put that in his newspaper for sure.
Wow. Good night, Irvin.
That a real nice choir practice, wasn't it? Oh, Mother Webb, just look at that moon. Oh. Potato weather for sure.
Naturally, I didn't want to say anything in front of those others. But now that we're alone, really, it's the worst scandal that ever was in this town. What? Simon Stimson.
Now, Luella.
But Julia, to have the organist of the church drink and drink year after year. You know he was drunk tonight.
Now, Luella. Now, we all know about Mr. Stimson, and we all know about the troubles he's been through. And Doc Ferguson knows it too. And if Doc Ferguson's willing to keep him on there in that job, well then the best thing the rest of us can do is just not notice it.
Not notice it? Oh, but it's getting worse.
No, it isn't. It's getting better. I've been on the choir twice as long as you have, and it doesn't happen anywhere near so often. Oh, I do hate to go to bed on a night like this. I better hurry. Those children will be sitting up till all hours. Good night, Luella. Good night.
Now, Luella, can you get home safe enough?
No, it's as bright as day. I can see Mr. Soames scowling at the window now. You'd think we'd been to a dance when the men folk carry on.
Well, we had a real nice choir practice tonight.
You're late enough.
No, 10 ain't later than usual.
Out there on the corner gossiping with those old hens.
Oh, now, Frank Gibbs, don't be so grouchy. Come outside and smell the heliotrope in the moonlight. Ah. Isn't that wonderful? Now, what did you get up all the time off the way?
Oh, I read, as usual. Well, what was the gossip tonight?
Frank, there really was something to gossip about tonight.
Simon Stimson? Far gone, was he?
This was the worst I've ever seen him. Frank, how that all ends?
Well, you know, I think I know as much about Simon Stimson as anyone else in this town. Some folk just ain't made for small town life. How it'll end, I don't know, but we just gotta leave it to him to work through his troubles. Now, come on.
Oh, no, not yet, not yet. Now, Frank Gibbs, I've got something to say to you. Frank, I'm worried about you.
What are you worried about?
Well, I think it's my duty to take you away someplace on a real rest and change. And if I get that legacy, then I'm just going to insist on it.
Now, Julia, please, let's not go over this again. Come on.
You're so unreasonable.
Come on. Next thing is you'll catch a cold, and that'll be the end of it. And I spoke to George tonight, and he'll be chopping you wood for a little while at least. No, leave those things, Julia. Come on. You get on. Yes?
Seems there's always something to pick up, that's all.
Well, you just get on upstairs, right?
You know, Frank, Mrs. Fairchild, she always locks her front door every night. All those people up that part of town do.
They're just getting too citified, those folks. That's all that is. They ain't got nothing fit to burgle, and everybody knows it.
Get out, Rebecca. There's only room for one at this window. God, you're always spoiling everything.
Well, let me look just a minute.
Use your own window.
I did, but there's no moon there. George, do you want to know what I think? Do you? I think that maybe the moon's getting nearer and nearer and there'll be a big explosion.
Rebecca, you don't know anything. If the moon were getting nearer, then all the guys that sit up at night in the telescope can see it first and they tell us about it. It'd be in all the newspapers.
George, is the moon shining on Canada and North America and half the whole world?
Probably is.
$9:30. Most of the lights are off now in Grover's Corners. There's Constable Warren coming along Main Street checking a few doors. And there's Editor Webb after putting his newspaper there.
Evening, Bill.
Evening, Mr. Webb.
Quite a moon.
Yeah,
All quiet tonight?
that Simon Stimson's out rolling around a little. Saw his wife moving out to hunt for him. So I looked the other way. Oh, look. There he is now.
Evening, Simon. Town seems to have settled down nicely for the night. Good evening. I say the town seems to have settled down pretty well for the night. Perhaps we better do the same. Mind if I walk along a ways? Good night.
know how that's going to end, Mr. Webb.
Well, you seem in a heck of trouble. One thing after another. Oh, Bill, if you see my boy smoking cigarettes, have a word with him, will you? He thinks a lot of you, Bill.
I don't think your boy smokes no cigarettes, Mr. Webb. At least the way's not more than 2 or 3 a year.
Well, I hope not. Good night, Bill.
Good night, Mr. Webb.
Who's that up there? Is that you, Murder?
No, it's me, Papa.
Why aren't you in bed?
I don't know. I just can't sleep yet, Papa. The moonlight's so wonderful. And the smell of Mrs. Gibbs's heliotrope. Can you smell it?
Yes. You haven't got any troubles on your mind, have you, Emily?
Troubles, Papa? No?
Well, enjoy yourself. Don't let your mother catch you. Good night, Emily.
Good night, Papa.
I never told you about that letter Jane Cropper got from the minister when she was sick. He wrote Jane a letter, and on the envelope it said this: Jane Cropper, the Cropper Farm, Grover's Corners, Sutton County, New Hampshire, the United States of America.
What's so funny about that?
But listen, I'm not finished. The United States of America, continent of North America, Western Hemisphere, the Earth, the solar system, the universe, the mind of God. And that's what it said in the envelope.
Well, what do you know?
And the postman brought it just the same.
Well, what do you know?
That's the end of the first act, folks. We're going to take a very short break now. By all means, stand up, stretch your legs, use the bathroom. We'll be back here in 5 minutes.